I don't think a lot of people realize how stacked Kagaribi 10 is going to be this weekend. In case you've been living under a rock, there's been a bunch of international players that have been visiting Japan this last, kind of week or two, and it's kind of all leading up to this major tournament that's happening this weekend. To put it in perspective, this is basically projected to be the 6th largest Smash Ultimate tournament of all time. And it's going to feature literally all of Japan's best players, a lot of really good US players, a lot of good other international players from Australia and other countries as well. And I'm honestly very excited to see how this plays out because this is the first time in a long time where we've had many different players from, various countries visit Japan. It's usually the other way around where we get a lot of Japanese players coming to the US or, to Europe, things like that. But it's kind of the other way around this time. And it's so exciting because there's so many good Japanese players with all these different characters that are just popping off, like leading up to this tournament. There's been so many crazy results. Hero is a good example of this. I was watching this tournament at like 2 a.m. I was about to go to sleep and I was just watching the Bowser. It was going crazy. I haven't seen a Bowser at that level ever, really. There's so many different character specialists on so many different characters. Piranha Plant, Duck Hunt, DDD, for example. It's actually kind of crazy and I'm very excited to see how it plays out. I feel like in the US especially, we have a lot of people that play, kind of similar characters. There's certain characters that we just never see in the US at a high level. So it's going to be so interesting to see how players from North America and Europe kind of adapt to the Japanese metagame. It's just, there's so many matchups that they might not even know. Now that being said, we do have the script that has been leaked, so I already know what's going to happen at this tournament. So today I'm going to be sharing that with you guys ahead of time. That way you can be prepared for when it actually happens. So if you haven't had a chance to already see the top 32 seeding for this tournament, you'll notice that basically all of top 10 is Japan, with the exception of like 3 players. And there's good reason for that. I feel like honestly, I think I can honestly say this, I think Japan is the strongest region out there. I feel like in the US especially, we have a lot of top players and then there's kind of like a huge drop off. With Japan, there's like certain top players and then there's like this kind of middle ground level where people specialize in a certain character and on any given day they can just upset like a super good top player. And I'm expecting to see a lot of that at this tournament. I honestly don't think that a lot of players outside of Japan are going to make top 8 at this tournament, and I don't think that's a crazy prediction. Now that being said, I do kind of have a crazy prediction, and I think Spargo is not going to make top 8 at this tournament. Obviously Spargo is, in contention for best in the world. I do think that this tournament is going to be rough for him. I mean, you have to think about it. Spargo is a very young player. This is the first time traveling to Japan. Obviously a big trip. He's been there a little bit less than a lot of the other US players that have been there for kind of a while now. Cosmos, DeBuzz, all those guys have been there for kind of, I think, over a week now, maybe 2 weeks even. And I think he's going to come across some matchups in the bracket that he's probably not used to. I do think he's going to place well. I think he'll maybe get 9th place. I don't think he's going to make top 8 though. I feel like it's a big adjustment to travel so far for a tournament like this, especially when it's your first time. And especially like historically when you look at results. For example, MKLeo, when he went to Japan in 2019, he ended up getting 33rd. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some factors that cause him to not place very well at this tournament. I do think he'll get 9th place though. My next prediction is that I think the best placing players at this tournament are going to be from Japan, and specifically Yoshidora and Miya. Yoshidora's been getting a lot of hype in the US especially. A lot of people have been excited to see Yoshidora travel to the US, and I think they're going to be kind of in for an awakening here. I think Yoshidora is going to go on a run here, possibly win the whole tournament. In the US, we really don't have any Yoshi players that are like that top level right there. I mean, this is the best of the best. I do think it's going to be kind of a struggle for some players when they face Yoshidora, and I do see Yoshidora making it to probably at least winners finals. And Miya's been doing very, very well at Japanese tournaments. They've been popping off lately, definitely making the case as one of the best players in Japan. I definitely see them placing well at this tournament, again, possibly top 3. Now, my next prediction is probably the craziest one yet, but just hear me out. I do think this is possible. I think that Riddles will lose to a DDD player. Riddles is known for his consistency. However, every couple tournaments he does have one that's kind of rough, and I do think that's going to be this tournament right here. He's been doing well so far in Japan. I feel like it's possible that at this tournament he's not going to place very well. So if you don't know, the best DDD player in Japan, or really kind of in the world, is Zaki. His DDD is actually insane. He's beaten MKLeo before, and he's not like a top player in Japan. I mean, considering he plays DDD, it's kind of rough out there. But I do think that he is going to go on a run at this tournament, and it's going to catch people off guard. He's projected to play Masa in winners finals of his pool, which is a Falco player. I do think it's possible that he wins that and moves on in winner's side. And now we're projecting him to play against Dio, who is a Snake player. And memes aside, I think DDD does okay in this matchup. I would say it's at least even. I think it's possible that Zaki even wins that one right there. And if that's the case, that will project him to play against Riddles. I feel like honestly, I don't know, maybe this is just me as a DD player, just kind of delusional. I think Zaki could beat Riddles. I think that will be the biggest story of this tournament. I think that Zaki could beat Riddles. I know that sounds crazy, right? I think if Zaki were to beat Riddles, he would just lose out after that, no further. So he would beat Riddles, and then he would lose the next round, and he would lose in losers. But I do think it's possible that Zaki would beat Riddles. Go ahead and timestamp it. Go ahead and mark it down when it happens, come back to this video and be like, wow, you know, the script was real. The script was actually leaked for this tournament. Go ahead. I'm telling you, I have faith. I have faith in Zaki. I have faith in the DDD. I do think it's possible. I think that Riddles loses to DDD. The next piece of material on the script, my next prediction here, is that Lima is going to be the highest placing US player. Go ahead and take a look at all the top players attending this tournament that are from Japan. How many Bayonettas do you see? Bayo's not really a character that's common in Japan, and I feel like a lot of people are not going to know this matchup. And on top of that, Lima's been placing very well. Lima's very consistent. He's projected to play against Acola, who's, you know, a Steve, obviously, and being from Texas, you know, Lima has a lot of Steve experience. I already know that. So I think that Lima could upset Acola and keep, you know, continuing on the winner's side of the bracket. So this will basically be Lima versus Yoshidora, in my opinion, winner semifinals. I think whoever wins that ends up going to winners finals, obviously. So, you know, I could see Lima placing top 3 at this tournament. I don't think it's a crazy prediction either. I think a lot of people kind of underrate Lima. I do think Lima's going to place the best out of the US players at this tournament. I could definitely see it. And my final prediction, the last thing from the script that I saw that I'm going to go ahead and inform you guys of ahead of time, you know, just so you're prepared for this tournament, is that I think Hbox will not be the lowest placing US player. I could see Hbox getting as high as 65th at this tournament, but I honestly really think that it's going to be some kind of top player that's going to just not place well at this tournament. It always happens. I mean, just look at the most recent Japanese tournament that had US players, like, you know, last week. Fatality kind of just went, I think he went 1-2, kind of a rough showing there. I could definitely see that happening to some top player. I couldn't really tell you who. The script wasn't that detailed, of course, but I do think that Hbox will place better than, I think, honestly, than a few US players, I would say. I think he's gonna probably plays better than, I would say, at least 2 US players. Don't get me wrong, Hbox is, you know, not the best Ultimate player, but I will say he's been improving and he's kind of been showing consistency with a lot of his results. As of recently, he hasn't had like a terrible showing in Ultimate, and he's honestly been doing upsets at every tournament, I feel like, so I definitely see him placing higher than a couple people. And that's all I was able to find on the leaked script for this tournament. I'm very excited for this tournament. Like I said, we're going to see a lot of characters that we usually don't see because a lot of people in Japan just play all these different characters, and it's very exciting to me. I always like to see character diversity. I have a lot of fun watching unique characters that we really don't see, whether it's low tiers or mid tiers, and I'm kind of rooting for some upsets, you know. I wouldn't mind seeing a Dr. Mario place well, or a DK, a Bowser, a DDD. Very excited for this tournament. Let me know your predictions in the comments below. Let me know how wrong the script sounds here. I'm telling you guys, when Zaki beats Riddles, just come back to this video. Promise you, it's gonna happen. And also in the comments, let me know if you want me to do a recap of this tournament. I usually do it for bigger tournaments, so this is definitely one that I could consider doing it for. I wouldn't mind doing that, especially if we get some, you know, unique characters up there in top 8. It'd be very exciting. Other than that, I've got nothing else for you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.